Hello everyone, and welcome to the Seekers of the Sea, a new adventure and journey following a little lost Nicheling tribe that I am very excited to introduce all of you to because they are going to be part of the Doli line. For those of you who have been around for quite a while, you may remember our Seer of the Sea. I actually have a niche achievement in the Steam store that is based on our Seers of the Seas that we had, so many hundreds of Nicheling generations ago. And we are going to get ready today to step back into the Seers of the Seas adventures and see where their descendants have taken them. But I just wanted to reassure all of you who are waiting for our fruitlies and fruitlings and our phoenixes to rise again that I have not forgotten about them. I was traveling for the last month seeking out a new home myself, and as I'm still gathering up my notes and resuming my position as the Nicheling goddess of those adventures, I need a moment or two to remember how to step forth and take care of all of our Nichelings in these worlds, and I thought, what better way to begin than following a new little lost tribe just until they and I can find my footing again. So do not despair, my friends, if you are waiting for our wonderful Nichelings. They will be returning. I have not forgotten about the Moon Mother Bat, and I have not forgotten about the Hearts of Ember that have given rise to so many of our phoenixes. But today, I would like to introduce all of you to the little lost tribe of the Seekers of the Sea. And yes, this is one of the few times that we are ever beginning using the powerful and fantastic new sandbox mode to go ahead and actually begin with a tribe. So I did tweak everything in sandbox mode just a bit to give the Nichelings longer lifespans, similar to what we have done in our Fruitlies and Fruitling tribe. I have also tweaked how much food and how much nesting material we begin with, because we are starting today with an elder named Trumpet. He is quite the old man, and he is the only Nicheling actually left from our last tribe. This little group was separated during some powerful storms, as often happens with my Nichelings. Now that I think of it, I wonder if there's some sort of Nicheling storm god that we have yet to meet. We're going to have to remember that. But this little tribe was separated from the greater tribe, and Old Man Trumpet has been taking it upon himself to take all of the food stores that he quite cleverly was sure to grab when the storm started, and keep an eye on all these young whippersnappers. We have with Trumpet the next eldest, Brawave, who is quite the Nicheling male, actually. I didn't realize he had big body. In fact, pretty much everything about these Nichelings was randomly generated. I did set into the sandbox mode their ages and how much food and nesting material they would begin with. They will take more environmental damage than usual, and they will heal more than usual if they are exposed to the soft song of a purse snout or if they eat a healing fruit. But almost all of the genes, except on one very special little Nicheling named Kai, who is going to be the main leader of this story, have been randomized. So I am as surprised as all of you to see what the genes are, to be honest. I knew the ages, I knew how many there would be because I actually randomized all those things beforehand. I knew there would be 6 Nichelings, 1 elder, Trumpet, that we have right here, 1 adult, Bawav, that we have right here. Bawave would be more appropriate since these are Nichelings that appreciate the ocean. We also have Shapri, who is stunningly beautiful with a toxic body. I did not expect to end up with so many toxic body Nichelings to start with. I've not really had that happen too often before. Wow, that's really pretty. But Shapri right here has just transitioned into being an adult. She was a teenager when they got separated, but she has finally become an adult, and she is kind of batting her eyes a little bit at Bawave. I'm really going to make his name quite silly, I think. And Trumpet is trying to remind all of these young ones they have to stick together and try to find a way back home. But that's definitely a tall order when we turn around and all you see is the open ocean. Can you imagine how terrifying that would be? If you lost your family, lost your friends that you had grown up with, the people that perhaps you thought you might one day fall in love with and start a family of your own, then some powerful storm comes by and you're swept off on a bit of flotsam, and the next thing you know, you land on a beach with a very cranky old man and a couple very rascally young twins. So we have a Trumpet the Elder, Wave, there we go. I'm finally getting his name right. The adult. We have got Shopri, the young adult who has just left teenagehood behind her and is quite proud of her beautiful, beautiful emerald fur. And then we have the two twins. So these are twin boys. I actually had no idea if they would be boys or girls. Their genders were set to random when I created them. And I had no idea that we would actually end up with Nari, who has the red antlers that will be, or red ram horns, that will be very important in the future. And he actually has the ability to crack open shells, which is also going to be very important. And then we have his brother Naru. So this is very exciting. I left everything random on the... We have so much going on in these twins' genes. Okay, we'll have to peek at their genes in just a moment. Suffice to say, we have our twin boys with us. They are the youngest members of the tribe, and, well, if you could call this the tribe, really everyone is still hoping that they can be reunited with the rest of the tribe soon. And then finally, we have the main star of our show. We have the main character. How would I describe her? Those things all sound far more egotistical than what young little Kai actually feels. Kai is our special Nicheling. She is the one on whom the touch of the gods drifts. She is the Nicheling out of all of them who felt very uneasy and had terrible dreams before the powerful storm came by, and she felt as though somebody was whispering to her. It sounded like falling rain in her dreams, telling her that they should run, but she couldn't quite understand what was going on. And she did manage to get to at least a few of the Nichelings before they got swept away. But little Kai is going to be our god-touched Nichelings. She has a touch of the ancestors, is what we will say. And that is because she has the ability to crack open shells. And she has one layer of white fur. So when it comes to Doli, our goddess of the sea, our seer of the sea from oh so long ago, I can't believe we created her so long ago, but it's very exciting to have her line in her story return. The goal of having my achievement, the achievement that says Seri in the Steam store. If you go to the niche page and you're looking at achievements, there is an achievement there that's my name. And that is to celebrate Doli, the Seer of the Sea. And I have actually never gotten that achievement. So that is why we are here now, my friends, because little Kai has a touch of the ancestors of the sea, a touch of the Seers, just deep within her heart. And she is hopefully going to lead the way for us to be able to get that achievement. So the details of the Seers of the Sea achievement are that we need to have a Nicheling who has all white fur but is not albino, has red horn color, antlers, so red antlers basically, one nimble finger at least, webbed hind legs, and fishing tail. It's a little bit of a complex achievement because I wanted to recreate our Seer of the Sea line, but I'm very excited about trying to reach it. So that's going to be the main goal of what this tribe will do. They have lost their way, they are touched by the gods of the sea, and little Kai is the one who will lead on as our first priestess. And what it means to be a priestess and all of these rules will, as usual, be linked down in the video description. So after I explain it this time, I promise all of you patient people I will never try, at least, never to trip myself up by explaining again. But what it means to have a seer in our tribe is that little Kai here By breaking open the seashells that will appear along the waterways, we'll be able to find out what messages, what warnings or blessings the ancestors will have for the tribe as we try to breed our way up to white fur, red antlers, one nimble finger, web-tied legs, and a fishing tail. I don't think it will take that long, but it may take a little longer, since the only time we will be able to go in and change anything in the mutation menu is after a seer opens up a shell and reads what is inside and studies the mysterious gemstones we find in order to see what the fate of our nicheling would be. So we cannot actually use the mutation menu unless we find a shell. And the seer, one of the seers who has a seer trait, and lucky us, little Nari actually counts for that, believe it or not, because he has nimble fingers and he has the red color horns and he has fishing tail. Oh my gosh, Nari. You're more of a seer than our wonderful little Kai is. Shh, you're messing up my little story. But a seer has to come and open up the shell. And when a seer opens up the shell, then we will roll a dice, and that will determine what mutation we get. It is not going to be the same as my random mutations that I do in the WIMS or some of our other challenges. And if this sounds confusing, as I mentioned, I will link to a Word document in the video description so that you will be able to find out what the heck I'm talking about. But I will roll a dice, and the number on the dice will determine if it is a blessing from the ancestors, which will allow them to have really high quality things like excellent eyesight or perfect fertility, or if it is a warning from the ancestors, which will give them blind eyes or deformed paws. So, or say hemophilia. And what kind of trait it is going to be determined by a second dice roll. A 1 or a 2 means that we will change things that are within our nichelings, such as their fertility or the hemophilia. And we also might change their eyes. We might consider that one of those as well. And a 3 or a 4 means that we will change something to adjust their power and their skills, like giving them better swimming, or which is another goal. Have a nicheling that can unlock the let's see, we want to try to get the Seers of the Sea achievement, or if that one's broken for some reason and won't open, the Back into the Sea achievement. So we will try to get a +6 on swimming. So if we rolled a dice, our seer found a shell and we opened it up to grant to the nicheling who was waiting for their mutation, their blessing or warning from the ancestors. And we rolled a dice, and it said skill level, like skill level 6, for instance. Then we might pick the absolute best thing we could for swimming or whatever other skill makes up that nicheling's life. But if we rolled a 1, for instance, they might be warned away from whatever skill that they were pursuing and given deformed paw, or maybe their horns would be taken from them. Or maybe we would just have to downgrade from like a really strong swimming to not any ability to really swim. So yeah, it sounds a little confusing, but I will explain all of it, as I mentioned, in the Word document. And then finally, when we crack open that shell with a seer, and we roll a 5 or a 6, then we can change anything about the physical appearance. And in this tribe, the closer we can get to mimicking the colors that Doli had, with white fur and red antlers, the better. So if we rolled a really high number, then a nicheling might end up with white fur. And if we rolled a 1, for instance, they might end up with black fur as their mutation. So in this case, the mutations we can pick a little bit from, but there is kind of like a 1 in 3 chance every time that it will be different aspects of a nicheling, and that it will have different effects. And that is how I will have our challenge that we will do. So that's going to be very fun. And normally nichelings, and the other thing is, when a nicheling gets their blessing from the ancestors, when Kai opens up the shell, and the rest of the nichelings don't really know about this shell nonsense just yet. Kai just has a gentle whispering from the gods in her head right now. Well, when they do get those shells and Kai does open it and she is able to find the special gemstones within that are messages from the ancestors, then we will change the color of their gemstones. If little Shopri received a blessing from the ancestors, she would have a beautiful blue color. If she received a neutral message from the ancestors, she would have a lovely green color. And if she received a warning from the ancestors, she would have a dark red color, if I can find it. Okay, there's gonna be a red color, but we'll put a black one there for now. The white coloring will be saved most of the time for the actual seers. If you have at least 2 seer traits, you could be a seer. However, the higher the number of the traits you have, like we might make it so that clearly if you have really high traits, you're going to be the seer. I think seers, because they have to give the other nichelings their mutations, are always going to be very busy. So you probably don't want to make everybody into a seer. Just maybe have a specialist or 2. I might even make it so you can only have a certain number of seers in the future. We'll see how this challenge plays out. And if you do something absolutely terrible, if you do something that truly could be called perhaps evil in the culture of this Seekers of the Sea tribe, then you will be given black gemstones to mark you as a disciple of the darker gods, like Tata, for instance. However, until then, you will simply have empty gemstones that are the color of the sands, waiting for your clamshells to be discovered, waiting for your message from the gods to be given to you, and waiting for your mutation to be granted to you. So until we find shells, no mutations. These nichelings know nothing of mutations yet, nothing at all. They just know how to survive and how to try to thrive as they are, with no blessings or warnings from the gods. And they barely remember anything about the gods, just weak stories that Trumpet doesn't really remember. Just because he's the old one in the tribe doesn't mean he's going to remember all of this nonsense and hubbubaloo about gods. What do you think he is? The cranky old man who just tells everybody about the way things used to be? He wants to think about the way things are going to be tomorrow, like where he's going to find his food. So Trumpet's not into all of that. However, Kai was told a few of the stories as strays and scraps, and she actually knows more than anyone else in the tribe without realizing it, because many of the stories that she believes the other tribe members told her were actually whispered to her along the tides and from the waves whenever the rain fell. It feels like in her memory that she sat down with the rest of the tribe and groomed and ate and was told these stories about Doli, told these stories about the messages that the sea could offer. But in actuality, she's the only one who really knows many of those things. And so it will be up to her to introduce the rest of the tribe to their ancestors once more, and give the tribe that connection to their ancient Doli line, and in trade be able to give the tribe the strength of being able to have the mutations. And as time goes on, we will unlock more of the mutations, which will allow us to grant our nichelings things to make them stronger. So the more mutations we unlock, the stronger the strength of the ancestors become, and the more that they are able to help our nichelings to grow. In the future, when we do manage to have the seashells cracked open and to unlock the blessings or the warnings that each nicheling will have, that will be when a nicheling will be considered old enough to go ahead and take a mate. You really wouldn't, if you had the option, wouldn't you want to pick a mate who you already knew what the gods had to say about them, rather than a mate who was a blank slate? I mean, what if they end up having all red gemstones? You might be a little wary about that, or you might applaud them for their strength in overcoming the challenges they might be given. Each mutation we grant to the nichelings will also reflect something about the way their personality will develop too. So it's going to be quite fun. But alright, and if that again sounded a little confusing, just check the video description for the little brief list and link. For this tribe in particular, I also have some cultural notes, like the fact that they primarily, even though they have forgotten much about the gods and the details of their ceremonies, still enjoy eating fish and occasionally fruit. They prefer to run or swim away from fights. They prefer to nest near water, especially if it happens to be on a little island like this. They very much love the safety of island nest. Sickly Nichelings are kept out of the water and banished onto land so that their sickness will not spread through the water. Kelp is considered extremely desirable for a nesting material, so we'll have to see if we can find any kelp anywhere. I don't think there's any here. Look how big this archipelago is. Oh my goodness. And there's a well island. We might have to see what we'll do about this. I have no idea which direction we'll go first, because I don't even know if seashells can show up here, which would be a little bit of a problem. So we might have to go to a peaceful place as we try to reunite with the tribe, or try to follow Kai's messages from the waters. And weaving kelp in smaller shells that are not the mutation deciding shells, but stray little shells into beautiful necklaces is another part of this tribe's culture. So it's going to be very fun to watch all of them go ahead and evolve, take on different personalities, and hopefully be able to follow the whispers that Kai hears on the waves and guide themselves not back to where they were with the tribe that was forgetting the ways of the Seers of the sea, but onwards towards a new future. So it's going to be quite fun. I'm very excited about this. It has been a long time since we have started fresh with a Nicheling tribe. And again, don't worry, I will be returning to all the others. I just wanted to make sure I remembered how on earth to be a Nicheling god before I actually jumped back into tribes that have such rich stories like our fruitlies and our phoenixes. Also, really quickly before we go, let's go ahead and glance over all of their mutations that they already have. I did actually put home immunity in the adults. I forgot to do it in the children. Well, at least nobody has any sickly genes. For Trumpet, who most likely will not be breeding since he only has 5 days left to live, we do actually have recessive gills and savanna horns. My goodness, and recessive webbed hind legs. He does not have very good fertility though, so he probably has never had any children in his own life. Meanwhile, for Bawave, I'm gonna mess up his name every time. Even though he does not have white fur, he does have red fur, which I think would also be somewhat desirable amongst our Nichelings. Perhaps we'll actually end up with some dimorphic colorings where the females are desirable as white fur, the males as red. We'll have to see. He also has recessive toxic body and recessive purr snout, which is quite good news for Shatri. Oh, she has spiky body. I don't think spiky body can swim very well. Recessive fishing tail. She's got terrible fertility. Oh my gosh, Shopri. That's gonna be really hard. Oh boy, she is making eyes for sure at Bawave, but we'll have to see about that. And then, oh no, and Bawave and Kai actually overlap with immunity, so we'll have to see how that goes. Little Kai does have hemophilia recessive, but she has really strong fertility as a female. She has one white fur gene in her favor with beige fur under that. One day, I think it's okay if she has dots. It might be best, the less dots and the whiter the fur for the Seers, the better. Not all of the Nichelings need to look like that, it just is our goal for this tribe. She has recessive gills, look at her, and she has recessive ram horns. I don't think we have any... We have antlers on Naru! So high fertility on Naru, who also has recessive purr snout and recessive peacock tail. And high fertility on Nari, who happens to have hemophilia, unfortunately, recessive purr snout, recessive heat body, which I don't think is going to help us as we swim, and recessive antlers. So we have quite the grab bag mix of genes as we try to reach our Seer of the Sea. I'm very excited about that. We'll have to see where that goes. But now that I have made this special prologue episode to kind of get all of the updates and all of the story out of the way, I will see all of you next time for our very first day as the tribe drags themselves up onto the shores and shakes off the waters, dries themselves and looks around at the broken islands of the archipelago and tries to decide where to go next. All the while young Kai has the secrets of the sea being gently whispered into her ears by the tide and the waves. So thank you guys so much for joining me. If you could, do please leave a like for little Kai so that she can hear those waters a little bit more clearly. And if you would like to join us on this and literally thousands more adventures, do please consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye!